in the offseason, leading up to this year, leading up to the kickoff to the NFL, I was one of the people saying Russell Wilson has played his way out of the Hall of Fame. There was a time in which we believed Russell Wilson to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, first ballot. I mean, I know we're having this debate right now about Eli Manning. I think we all can agree Eli Manning, there's a debate out there as to whether or not he had a Hall of Fame worthy career. He was not a Hall of Fame talent at quarterback. Even if he gets in the Hall, which he probably will, if we lined up all of the quarterbacks, especially modern day quarterbacks, let's start in the 70s and go through today. And all of the quarterbacks that are going to make the Hall of Fame and did a draft, we did it between fans, GMs. Hell, we could do it with Giants fans. Eli's getting picked last every single time. He will be the worst quarterback in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, you can start naming quarterbacks, and it'll be hard to stop naming quarterbacks that you would take before Eli Manning, despite having the 2 rings.
There's going to be non-Hall of Fame quarterbacks, guys that never even sniff Canton, who are better at quarterback than Eli Manning. He had a great career, a lot of it due to circumstance, some luck, some just being there and being opportunistic and being surrounded by good talent in what was a good organization. I'm not discrediting the man at all. Heck, he was one of our first ever guests here on Theoretically Speaking. Much love to Eli Manning. But let's keep it G.
You take Phil Rivers over Eli Manning?
Yes, he's better.
And Phil Rivers probably not a Hall of Famer, right?
Probably not. No. I don't even think he gets close to getting in the Hall of Fame, Phil Rivers. Eli will. And again, I was just talking to our guys at EDS Air Conditioning and Plumbing. I had a lunch with them earlier. In fact, right back at the house earlier. And we were having the conversation of how much an organization and specifically ownership can dictate so many things from the top down in organizations, not just sports, but again, in life, in other companies. But we were like, I asked him because I was like, all of my life, I feel like Robert Kraft has been the owner of the Patriots. You know, the folks I was at lunch with, my guy Ed, Tony, and then our teammate Jeff, they were like, yo, the Patriots used to be a dumpster fire organization. So I asked him, I said, yo, when did Robert Kraft buy the Patriots? And we had to look it up because nobody could remember. He bought the Patriots in 94.
Didn't take long.
It didn't take long for him to turn that organization from the top down, create the Patriot way by hiring the right people, empowering them in the correct ways, not meddling in football decisions that you shouldn't have your hand in. And then in comes Bill Belichick. And in comes not 1, not 2, not 3, but 6 championships and Tom Brady. We see the same thing all throughout sports in every single different of the major 4 sports here in America. Ownership, steady ownership is one of the more impactful things you can have to an organization. Scrap the quarterback, scrap the coach, scrap the GM. And that brings us to the point here because, of course, Eli Manning benefited from being under a steady Giants leadership. Phillip Rivers was with the Chargers, which we know is a mess of an organization most of the time. For what we see right now with the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, now I understand. Now I get it. Like, they are the ones that actually were a quarterback away from being a contender in the NFL, not the New York Jets. We all thought because Aaron Rodgers picked them out of the bunch and said, if I go there, they got Zach Wilson. He's not good. He's not good. I can actually show him the ropes. Zach Wilson worships me. I can show him the ropes, play a couple of years, win a Super Bowl, and then hand the baton off to Zach Wilson. Aaron Rodgers assumed Wilson was the issue, or Geno Smith, or Sam Darnold, or whoever the hell else they threw out there at quarterback was the issue. He thought he can just jump in there and solve the problems. But because the Jets culturally, from top down, were an insecure organization, poorly ran organization, at times because of Woody Johnson, overreactive, it didn't work out. And instead of them having a culture and welcoming a future Hall of Fame quarterback like Aaron Rodgers into the Jets organization and him feeding off of that and adding to it, they tried to let Aaron Rodgers set their culture. They tried to be an Aaron Rodgers-led organization, which we've never seen that before in the first place. And also, there's no precedence for that in his career. He's always been a guy that seems to be a little cold to his teammates internally. Even the locker rooms are sometimes divided on Aaron Rodgers. Hell, his family don't like the man. And you turn the keys over to that guy. But let's look at what the Steelers did. Because you can argue the Steelers and Jets were in similar positions. In fact, the Steelers were a 10-win team last year with that hodgepodge of quarterbacks they had running through there, and they made the playoffs. Elite-level defense, a wide receiver one that we can all agree is a legit wide receiver one that needs better quarterback play, But the difference between the Steelers and the Jets in this offseason was culture. The Steelers, who have only had 3 coaches since like 1969, Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin. Sustainability. We know it's consistency. We know what to expect. We know the standard we hold people to. And you got a guy like Mike Tomlin in there that knows how to manage these kind of egos. Russell Wilson, who was such a problem for the Denver Broncos, couldn't work out for Sean Payton. Oh, hell, look at what happens when he steps into Mike Tomlin's locker room. The Steelers are now 8-2. The Jets are 3-8. The Jets thought they could do what the Steelers did. The problem was they turned the keys over to the guys, similar to how the Broncos did when Russell Wilson first got in there. Same quarterback, different organization, right? Remember when Russell got traded to Denver, they gave him his own office, right? He separated him from the team. C-Cat, like this was something where they did similar to the Rodgers method. Hey, you're the future Hall of Fame quarterback. Fix all our problems for us. It didn't work.
No.
The Steelers didn't do that. Instead, they said, you come in here, you're going to compete for your position. We're going to bring in Justin Fields as well. He's going to start. He's going to play well. Because we are a well-ran organization with a steady head coach who can make he could be decisive because he's not worried. He's not looking over his shoulder at, will this decision cost me my job? Because they have that, they were able to start Justin Fields, succeed with him, and then still put Russell Wilson in when he got healthy. And look at the results so far. They're 8-2. They're in pole position to win the AFC North. They control their own destiny. They have 2 more games this year, C-Cat, including tonight against the Browns. At 8-2, with the tiebreaker lead right now over the Ravens, they have 2 more games against the Browns.
It is miraculous how important ownership is in football compared to every other sport. I think it goes in terms of important front office and leadership and culture with the owner position is in terms of the big 4 leagues.
Yeah.
Got to go NFL number 1,
for sure.
NBA number 2, MLB. Maybe flip NBA, MLB since
I would
the salary
flip those.
cap. Yeah.
I would flip those. I would say Major League Baseball, I would put them second.
So I just think that a team can get hot, make the playoffs, and just it's so easy with how little postseason games there are and how much parity there is in a single baseball game that you'll see teams just get hot with or without
in
being
baseball
malfunctional. Yes, because look at the Mets. The Mets lucked their way to a couple spots, even though they're known as a very dysfunctional team.
But that's this year's, and isn't Cohen a new owner?
Fair enough, yes. Steve Cohen, it's not
Cohen
the Will
new.
Ponds anymore.
Yeah.
But then you also look at the Tampa Bay Rays, widely regarded as a well-run front office. They find diamonds in the rough better than anyone else in sports, really. And they're able to compete with high payroll teams by spending a fraction of what the Yankees pay or the Dodgers pay. So I think you're right. NFL, number 1 most important ownership.
For sure.
Major League Baseball, number 2.
And in the NBA, we all know, though it does take good ownership to help, because that's the reason why the Knicks have been miserable for the past 3 decades. Like Jim Dolan ain't going nowhere, and he continues to meddle in decisions that get people fired. Oh, get people fired. He's the one that fires them. He'll make the decision and then pawn it off to the person that he's fired. Oh, it was his fault.
And the same thing across town with the Nets. When their team got sold and purchased, what was the first thing that happened? That disastrous old-school Celtics trade that got KG and Paul Pierce in Nets uniforms. And it got Bobby Marks in an ESPN uniform. Exactly. That is exactly what happened to the Nets because of poor ownership decisions and culture. Culture is the differentiating factor between the Steelers and the Jets. And it's a big deal. Like you said, 8-2 versus 3-8.
Oh, my gosh, man. Like, it matters so much. And you can look at the shells of those 2 rosters specifically. And, again, we have Browns Steelers tonight. You'll get to see Russell Wilson, Danger Russ on display. Likely going to be a double-digit win in this one. The Browns season practically over. I don't even know if Myles Garrett is playing tonight. We need to check on that. I know he was questionable, and it's a short week. I just don't. This matters so much. Organizational strength is what got Eli Manning to be a person that is a candidate now that is seriously being looked at for the Hall of Fame. Organizational structure. That's what got him there. Top-down leadership. Creating great rosters around people to support them, to lift them up. Organizational strength is what has Russell Wilson now. He's the same guy from the past 3 years. If anything, he's gotten older. Like he's lost athleticism, but he looks better than he has in the past 3 years. Because of the organization that he's in, because of the structure that he's within. And we see this as well. This is the top end look at it, right? Top end is the Steelers, bottom end is the Jets. How about we just look at some of the middle area stuff? Baker Mayfield with the Buccaneers.